Following a brutal assault where she is and her husband is murdered, a woman seeks vengeance. She hires the help of a bounty hunter to teach her how to use a gun in our recap of the 1971 movie Hannie Calder. Today, we're diving into a recap of the film Hannie Calder. In a peaceful town, the Clemens siblings, EMT, Straight, and Rufus, target the local bank one night while the staff is asleep at the nearby station. In the chaos of their burglary, Rufus fatally injures a guard and the siblings dispatch the others. EMT inadvertently takes Rufus's horse, sparking a commotion. Plane sustains a leg injury during their getaway, and as they race through fields seeking refuge, they end up at a horse farm. Hungry and exhausted, EMT raids the farm for food and new horses, while Honest restrains Rufus. Rufus eventually drops his resistance, and they encounter Jim Calder, the farm owner, who initially welcomes them. However, a confrontation leads to Jim's demise at Rufus's hands. Despite Rufus's chauvinistic remarks, EMT insists on staying and commandeers the farm's facilities. Inside, they encounter Jim's wife, Han, whom Rufus tries to intimidate. Han defends herself but is subdued, and the brothers spend an uneasy day with her before departing the next morning, taking the farm's horses. Left behind, a grieving Han buries her husband and arms herself, vowing revenge. Encountering Thomas Price at a well, Han initially confronts him, but Thomas disarms her. Upon investigating his possessions, Han discovers a corpse on one of his horses. Determined to learn from him, she trains with his gun. Thomas warns her against seeking revenge, but offers her supplies before leaving. Despite his efforts to distance himself, Han tracks down Thomas and catches up with him, earning his sympathy. He cares for her as she rests, understanding the horrors she's endured. Meanwhile, elsewhere, EMT tends to Plane's injuries. As they rest in the wild, faulting Rufus for their circumstances and their father's death, the siblings argue until they spot a posse approaching, prompting them to flee back to Thomas and Hannie. Thomas provides Hannie with spare clothes and plans to take her to Mexico to acquire a gun. They travel together until reaching a town where Hannie learns the truth about her husband's killers from the sheriff. While Thomas gambles in the cantina, Hannie talks with the sheriff, causing a stir among the patrons when she mentions Thomas's name, revealing his identity. Thomas acts swiftly, dispatching a man posing a threat and presenting the body to the sheriff for the bounty. Despite initial suspicion, the sheriff settles up, acknowledging Thomas's reputation. They continue their journey, with Thomas revealing their plan to meet Bailey, a gunsmith in Mexico. Bailey welcomes them into his home, while the Clemens siblings struggle to survive in the wilderness. As Bailey crafts a weapon for Hannie, Thomas begins her training. When Bailey notices Thomas's growing affection for Hannie, Thomas remains oblivious. After weeks of training and crafting, Bailey tests the gun he made, but his attitude changes when a stranger delivers a weapon for inspection, raising concerns. He later presents Hannie with her customized gun, stressing its use, and they practice shooting together until nightfall, sharing a moment by the shore. Days later, Hannie notices Thomas with Bailey's children, prompting reflection on Thomas's dual nature. Their peace is shattered when bandits attack, leading Thomas and Hannie to defend the home. In the intensity of the fight, Hannie falters, requiring Thomas's intervention. After the conflict, the surviving bandits flee, and the siblings' attempted thefts fail, leading to their departure. As they pass an abandoned prison and reach a town where the siblings are heading, Thomas discourages Hannie from seeking revenge, but she remains resolute. Their argument escalates, leading to a painful parting as Thomas leaves, leaving Hannie in tears. Thomas exits the inn, but pauses after seeing the Clemens siblings arriving. He watches as the siblings bicker about their lack of resources, allowing him to confront the last brother alone. Surprising him, the bounty hunter orders him to disarm before presenting him with his own wanted poster. Thomas invites him to the sheriff's office peacefully. Meanwhile, EMT and Rufus spot the two, and EMT raises a weapon to throw at the bounty hunter. Thomas quickly draws his gun, and EMT throws the weapon before fleeing. The bounty hunter is struck in the stomach, allowing the siblings to escape. Hanny sees Thomas collapse through her window and rushes to his aid. With the help of the townspeople, they manage to return him to her. Hanny concedes to allowing Thomas to rest in the lodging, mourning his loss. Despite Thomas joking about her skills with a weapon, he warns her of the danger the siblings pose. In his dying breath, he asks her to promise not to pursue them anymore. Before she can respond, he passes away, leaving Hanny to grieve. Against her mentor's wishes, Hanny refuses to back down. She heads to the cantina, where she learns about Frank's whereabouts from the bartender. She heads upstairs, breaks into Frank's room, and confronts him, even though he is unarmed. Despite the advantage, she opts for a fair fight and returns his weapon belt. As they face off, Hanny manages to draw her weapon and shoot first, injuring Frank. Fueled by anger and memories of Thomas's encouragement, she shoots again, sending Frank crashing through the window to his demise. The town sheriff rewards Hanny for killing Frank and tends to her injury. She then uses some of the money to fund Frank's funeral. After identifying the dead, the sheriff warns her about the Clemens siblings discovering her actions. However, Hanny remains undeterred. Back in the town, Hanny enjoys her reward and purchases perfume, but Rufus recognizes her and confronts her with a gun. Unfazed, Hanny shoots Rufus with a hidden weapon in her arm sling, killing him. She collects his bounty, leaving enough money for 2 funerals, anticipating EMT's imminent demise. Recognizing the danger of her quest for revenge, the sheriff urges Hanny to leave town before innocent people get involved. When she questions why he didn't drive the siblings away, he explains they were low-priority criminals until she ignited their feud. Angered, Hanny insists that he send EMT to face justice. Hanny settles their fight without annoying anybody as she leaves. The sheriff remarks that she's an extreme lady. Hanny argues that there's no such thing as intense ladies, just delicate men. A short time later, the lady braves the town and goes to the neglected jail. During this, EMT finds out about Rufus's passing and that Hanny is leaving money for their funeral. This angers him, so he takes a part of his supposed funeral money and advances toward the jail. As he goes, the sheriff advises him to make the lady's death seem like self-defense. EMT later arrives at the jail as the wind picks up. Seeing the place peaceful and void, he searches the area with his weapon ready. Suddenly, a gun is fired from a remote place, but misses the outlaw. Hanny is hidden somewhere in the facility, so EMT continues looking for her. He moves to the guard posts and glances around, eventually seeing a shadow moving. And that's a wrap. How did you enjoy the recap? Kindly let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe for more recaps like this one. Thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.